like to speak with the county administrator, please.
He is in a meeting right now.
Well, you guys are getting sued by me, so you might want to get him out.
And your name, sir?
My name is Travis.
Travis?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not pissed off at you. You've done nothing wrong. I'm really frustrated with the attorney's office,
Okay.
and I think you guys should get me somebody to talk to.
Okay. Let me see if I can interrupt this.
Hey. Hi. I'm just kind of digesting some of the law here that's been violated in your office. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to take this to court. Oh, what's that?
Taking your temperature.
Taking my temperature. Oh, my temperature is hot. My temperature is hot. I was denied service twice by your attorney's office. Flat out, completely denied service. Unacceptable.
Desired service of what?
I went there to fill out a FOIA. I went there to hand her a data request. She refused to man the post. When I left, she remanned her post. When I came back after going and conducting completely separate business unrelated to my audit of your facility here today, she abandoned her post again as soon as I walked through the door, and nobody would do anything about it. I spoke with an individual who didn't know what to do and was instructed to hang up the call. My call was ignored routinely. It says pick up the phone if you want service. I have her recorded. You know, so we have evidence.
Sure.
We probably exhibit A of the phone ringing. You can hear the phone ringing. You can see the woman walking around in the hallways behind.
Sure.
And basically telling the other staff, don't answer it. It's the guy up front. I'm here for business.
Sure.
I'm here to view public data. I'm here to audit this government. There was another incident where law enforcement, I think twice, I think the attorney's office called the law enforcement, which in itself is a violation of federal law. It's retaliation against a protected act. Me recording, me doing what I'm doing, this is protected. You can't call the cops on me.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't call the cops on me even if you just don't understand. You guys are public officials here. It's like we've got some really big problems. Now I'm just scratching at the surface because I'm still in the moment.
Sure.
I haven't even digested every law that is applicable here. Is there any way we can just fix this today?
Well, since you threatened lawsuit, I don't know that there is any way that I could actually say anything to you at this point, since you said, I think I'm going to have to follow a lawsuit. And if that's the case, then all I can say is, you do what you need to do. And I understand what you're telling to me, but at this point, there's really nothing I could do to help you.
Well,
however, I can tell you, like when you stopped here at my desk, we have a policy that says you submit FOIAs this way.
Your policy is not the law.
Well, again, we have letters from the state of Minnesota saying we are not in violation of statute 13 and how we administer data requests.
There's nothing wrong with having that program that way, but you can't deny a lawful request because it doesn't conform to your policy. See, that's the difference. And that's what we're going to drive home. You can have your policy. I don't mind.
Yep.
And most people, if they want to, they can conform to your policy.
And like I said, I didn't deny your request,
Right.
but I'm going to put it in the system so I can track it. I can
Appreciate it.
send you the information. I mean, we will create an account for you. We will send you an email and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's how we try to acquiesce to folks who said, I don't want to do this, So
let me-
I will certainly have a conversation, but there's nothing I can do to the county attorney's office to say,
Well, you're the county administrator.
but he's an elected official. I don't have any oversight of the elected
You
officials.
have oversight over the office, not the individual who's elected, but the office. You're the administrator of the county.
Right.
You're the administrator. There's no one above you, right?
Just the county board.
Yeah, the county board.
Again,
So-
but they have responsibilities and authorities under their elected offices.
you.
So,
So-
as do I.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I'm reporting deprivation of civil rights, I believe,
Yeah.
and I'm reporting other violations of state and federal law that I want investigated appropriately. And I'm just to be clear, I would rather not sue. I would rather just get some redress here and the individuals disciplined for how they treated me today. And then we can leave it at that.
Yep.
If the corrective action is taken, there's no lawsuit.
Sure.
If I get what I came here for, by the time I'm dismissed or leave
Yep.
today, then that's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm left with no other options, then I'm left with no other options.
I'd ask you to shoot me an email saying, here's what happened to me today. Here's the remedy that I'm seeking. You know what? I can certainly have a conversation. Certainly say, here's what I found. I'll answer your email, to say what I found. So whether you like it or not, I can't help that, but I will absolutely take a look into what you're telling me today. Good enough?
No, but I'll take it.
All right.
Today, we're diving into a detailed formal complaint filed against Itasca County's Attorney's Office and Assessor's Office. It's about alleged violations of Minnesota's Government Data Practices Act and constitutional rights, all stemming from incidents on September 30th, 2025. This case really puts a spotlight on how government transparency laws and constitutional protections play out in real life.
Yeah, it's a fascinating and complex situation. The complaint centers on repeated denials of access to public records, refusals to accept data requests, and what the complainant describes as retaliatory actions when exercising First Amendment rights. It's a great example of the tension between citizens trying to hold government accountable and the government's response.
Exactly. Before we get into the specifics, maybe we should set the stage with the legal framework here. The Minnesota Government Data Practices Act, or MGDPA, is key. It requires government entities to keep records accessible and to accept and respond to data requests. Two important provisions are MIN, Stat. Section 13.03, subdivisions 2 and 3. The first says records must be kept in a way that makes them easily accessible. The second requires responsible authorities or their designees to accept and respond to data requests.
Right, and there's also MIN, Stat Section 13.08, which provides for civil liability if these rules are violated. That can include damages, attorney's fees, even exemplary damages. So there's real teeth behind these statutes. On the constitutional side, the First Amendment protects the right to record public officials and petition government without retaliation. And the 14th Amendment guarantees equal access to government services and due process.
And the complaint even references Monell v. Department of Social Services, a 1978 Supreme Court case. That's important because it allows holding government entities liable when there's a pattern or custom of constitutional violations, not just isolated incidents. So this complaint isn't just about one bad day. It suggests a systemic problem.
Let's break down the complaint itself. There are 5 counts. The first one involves the attorney's office allegedly denying access to public services. The complainant tried to submit a written data request at the front desk, but the staff member left the counter and told others not to answer the assistant's phone. Despite multiple attempts and leaving a voicemail, no help was given. The claim is that this violates the statute requiring records to be accessible.
Yeah, and what's striking is the allegation that this wasn't just neglect, but deliberate obstruction, like closing the door on the request. The staff member abandoning the counter and ignoring the phone is a pretty clear example of that, if true. It's not just passive non-response, it's active avoidance.
Then count 2 is a second refusal to accept the written request. After being escorted off county property, the complainant returned later that day and tried again. The same staff member again removed herself when approached, and no request was accepted or processed. This is a violation of the statute requiring acceptance and response to requests, even if the staff member isn't the official designee. They're still an agent of the office with a duty to accept or redirect.
That's a key point. Even if the person isn't the designated official, they can't just refuse service outright. They have to take the request or at least point the requester to the right person. So a second refusal is an independent violation.
Count 3 gets into constitutional territory, retaliatory law enforcement involvement. Deputies from the sheriff's office appeared outside the attorney's office, monitoring the complainant. The complaint alleges the deputies were summoned in retaliation for lawful conduct, recording, speaking out, and submitting requests. The deputies even followed the complainant after he left, which suggests their presence was linked to his activity.
That's a serious allegation. Using law enforcement to intimidate or monitor someone exercising their First Amendment rights is a big constitutional no-no. It raises questions about abuse of power and adverse action under color of law.
Count 4 involves the assessor's office. While recording at the public counter, a staff member objected and left the counter. Another staff member called law enforcement. Deputies explained to staff that recording in public areas is lawful. and the complainant was free to remain. The complaint alleges the call was retaliatory, violating First Amendment rights and obstructing statutory rights.
So even though law enforcement clarified the rights, the fact that the call was made in the first place, allegedly in retaliation, is problematic. It's a form of chilling effect on lawful public activity. And it shows how staff misunderstand or resist transparency laws.
Finally, Count 5 is about refusal to accept a written request at the assessor's office. A male official, likely the assessor, refused to accept a written request for the name of the staff member involved. The complainant warned refusal would lead to litigation. Instead of accepting or forwarding the request, the official directed him to a law enforcement portal. Even if the paper was later picked up, the in-person refusal is a statutory violation.
That's an important nuance. The statute requires acceptance and processing of requests. Redirecting to an unrelated portal isn't sufficient. It's about ensuring the public can access records without unnecessary barriers.
The complainant also demanded preservation of all relevant evidence: security video, phone logs, internal communications, call records, staffing rosters, and incident notes from that day. And the relief requested is comprehensive: immediate fulfillment of all data requests, identification of involved staff, written apologies, assurances and remedial measures including retraining, and an administrative resolution preferred over litigation.
So the complainant isn't just after individual remedies, but systemic change, accountability, and assurances that this won't happen again. That's a critical aspect of these kinds of complaints.
The correspondence that followed shows the county administrator, Brett Skiles, acknowledged receipt promptly but delayed substantive response. Eventually, he reported the review was complete, staff retraining occurred, and data requests were being processed. But the complainant insisted on written findings reflecting violations and remedial measures, including compensation.
And then the county's final letter, dated December 5, 2025, denies any statutory or constitutional violations. They argue that the attorney's office has a slot under the window for submitting requests, so no denial occurred. They say law enforcement wasn't called due to protected activities, and that staff retraining was provided on recording rights and data request procedures.
They also explain that the assessor's office directs the public to use a data request portal, which is lawful under Minnesota statute. Exceptions exist for those unable or unwilling to use the portal. So they deny retaliation or obstruction, but acknowledge education and ongoing data processing.
This really highlights the tension between government procedures, like portals, and ensuring accessibility for all members of the public. If someone can't or won't use the portal, the government still has to accommodate them.
Exactly. And the use of law enforcement in response to lawful recording and data requests is a critical constitutional issue here. It raises questions about how government staff understand and respect public rights. The Monell Doctrine reference suggests the complainant believes these incidents reflect a broader pattern or custom of violations.
The administrative process here also shows how challenging it can be to resolve these disputes without litigation. Staff retraining and apologies are important, but the complainant clearly wants a clear, written acknowledgement of violations and appropriate compensation.
So what are the key takeaways for our listeners? First, Minnesota's Government Data Practices Act mandates accessible records and obligates government entities to accept and respond to data requests. Second, the First Amendment protects the right to record public officials and petition government without retaliation.
Third, denial of access or refusal to accept requests can constitute statutory violations with potential civil liability. And fourth, retaliatory involvement of law enforcement against lawful public activity raises serious constitutional concerns. Fifth, government entities may have lawful procedures like data portals, but they must accommodate those unable or unwilling to use them.
And finally, administrative remedies include staff retraining, apologies, and assurances, but complainants may reserve rights to pursue litigation. Preservation of evidence and detailed documentation are crucial in these disputes. This case really exemplifies the ongoing struggle for transparency and accountability in local government.
Well said. It's a reminder that transparency laws and constitutional protections aren't just abstract concepts. They have real impact on how citizens interact with their government, and that government offices need clear policies, training, and accountability to uphold those rights.
Absolutely. Hopefully, cases like this encourage better understanding and respect for public rights, and more effective, respectful government service.
Thanks for joining this deep dive. We'll keep watching how these issues evolve. Until next time.